because he
Connor,
said,
my guy.
Because he said he couldn't handle the online bullying that he was receiving. Who then proceeds to go and be the face of Barstool.
Yeah.
Goes and creates a Cameo account where you can request him and proceeds to put himself in the biggest light possible. Garbage.
It's the arrival. I came in the league, went straight for the title.
He's got it! Jeremiah Smith!
The Michigan Wolverines shocked the college football world.
You know, some people gotta learn how to lose, man.
And after all that, it's Ohio State together at the mountaintop.
There's nothing quite like the game.
Michigan versus Ohio State.
This is The Rivalry. Proud to be part of the Varsity Network from Learfield and sponsored by Elevated Integrity Construction.
Ladies and gentlemen, Merry Christmas.
Oh, what a day.
This is the Rivalry Podcast. I'm Jace. That's JP. This is a Michigan-Ohio State college football podcast from River Radio Ministries, presented by our friends at Elevated Integrity Construction. We are finally at week 0 of the college football season.
Long.
I've had to explain to, I've got a couple young boys, and I've had to explain to them that there's about 5 football games this Saturday, and one of them is called Farmageddon. And I've had to explain to them it's been a whole thing. Yep. I don't care. Listen, UNLV can play the freaking moon. I don't care. College football's back.
I am so desperate for college football. I bought tickets to go see Bowling Green next week play like Fordham.
On purpose?
On purpose. Tickets for like $20. I'm going to go see Eddie George's head coaching debut
okay,
for
so
Bowling
that's
Green.
Cool. That's cool.
And there's a couple of kids that play on the team from my hometown. But yeah, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I want that environment back.
Yeah.
And so while I'll be at the Texas-Ohio State game, I wanted to get a little appetizer.
Yeah, just a little snack.
Who doesn't want to go see the Falcons?
Yeah. If you are new to the podcast, and even if you've been around for a while, a few changes this year. So first of all, a Michigan-Ohio State podcast, as far as we know, there are a couple other maybe Michigan-Ohio State podcasts that do this sort of thing. We were first, and that's all I'm going to say on that.
Okay,
we were first. Whatever, it's fine.
Don't try.
So that's what this is week by week, we go through analysis of our team. We banter back and forth, counter each other's team. We do take a look at the larger landscape of college football as well. But so that's what you can expect. And the other thing we try really hard to do here is we try to keep it football focused. We try to keep it fun. So if you're listening with your kids, you don't have to worry about, what tangent are they going to get off on here? It'll be dumb. It'll be a dumb tangent, but it's not going to be something inappropriate. So that's the security that you can have here at the Rivalry. Social media has not changed at Rival Pod, Twitter or X, Instagram, Facebook page now, the Rivalry Podcast. So be sure to follow there. And of course, if you're not watching on YouTube right now, please do at Rival Pod. Be sure to subscribe and follow in your podcast app on YouTube. All that really helps us get in front of more eyes and ears. Speaking of new things, though, really exciting partnership this year. We'll get into the football here in a moment, but just be with us for a moment, okay? Particularly if you're in Columbus, you're probably familiar with Homage, the college sports and pro sports apparel company. Huge deal. The
most comfortable hoodies you will ever wear in your entire life. I would say that regardless of what's about to be said.
We are so excited. We are partners with Homage this year. We are so excited to be part of one of their affiliate partners. And so right now, actually, if you go into the show notes, the show description, you'll see a link there. You want to click on that. You will not only be able to go buy yourself some Homage merch, but you'll support the podcast while you do it. So shout out them. We're very excited about that. Support the podcast that way. Or if you want to go ahead and get your own Rivalry shirts, look at these bad boys. If you're watching on YouTube, we just designed these for this season. We've never had these before. These are our favorite shirts we've ever done.
Yeah, they're so comfortable.
Rivalpod.com. Click on support, hit shop. You'll be able to get your own Rival Pod merch there. Plenty of ways to support the podcast. Thank you more than anything for following and for listening in what's now season 7.
Crazy.
Of doing this thing.
I was trying to think how long I've been doing this with you, and it's been this is my 4th season,
I think this is your 4th year.
Which is crazy. We've been doing this thing and that they let us behind the mics for this long.
I don't think they know we still do this.
Honestly,
I don't think the fine folks here at the River, I don't think they know we still do this.
We should keep our voices down a little bit.
All right, we're going to break the ice now with a little bit of a wheel route. You got something you want to say there as you pull up the wheel route?
I'm excited. I miss wheel route. There's just something about it that just gets me all jacked up, ready to go.
Again, if you're not watching on YouTube, you should at Rival Pod, but this is a random questions to kind of break the ice, get things moving here.
A perfect opening question. name people should become familiar with. This is probably somebody that maybe is a little bit under the radar on your team, somebody that you think is going to be kind of the future of your program, that you think will still make an impact. This isn't somebody that's going to sit the bench where you're going to be going, look out for them in a couple years. This is a guy that people aren't really talking about, that you're looking at and going, this is going to be a guy that's going to be a terror.
So somebody on your team. That your team might be like, oh yeah, of course, but the national media might not know.
Yes.
Man, I mean, I think there's two that come to mind for Michigan. So I'm gonna put two out there. One would be Jordan Marshall,
running back.
Jordan Marshall is going to be a running back duo with Justice Haynes, the Alabama transfer. And he's phenomenal. We saw him a little bit, if you're a Michigan fan or just were watching through bowl season, saw him a little bit against Alabama in the ReliaQuest Bowl or whatever that was. And he looked really good. And the hype from that game has continued through the offseason. Saw him in the spring game in Ann Arbor, looked really good. I think that running back duo is going to be phenomenal. So Jordan Marshall is one name you should know if you're kind of on the outside looking in. The other one is Donovan McCulley. Michigan's wide receiver room, rightfully so, last year was much maligned. Understandably so. We had a potato at quarterback and still beat Ohio State.
Potatoes.
However, potatoes. However, Donovan McCulley is an Indiana transfer. This is going to be the wide receiver one for Michigan. All right, and I don't see many people at this point presuming that anyone but Bryce Underwood's going to trot out as the starting quarterback. We'll get into that maybe a little bit later. But whether it's Mikey Keene or whether it's Bryce Underwood, Donovan McCulley is going to be the wide receiver one on that team. Big body dude, kind of a throw up a jump ball, let him go get it type thing. Okay. And he's not on the level of a Jeremiah Smith, but it's kind of that same style of put the ball near him, let him go get it.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's a name that you should know, because if Michigan's going to have a successful offense this year, obviously it's still going to run through the trenches. It's still going to run through the run game, but it's any semblance of a passing game is going to start with Donovan McCulley. And we'll get into maybe some of the tight end play and how Marlon Klein is going to factor in and all that later. But Jordan Marshall, Donovan McCulley, the two names that you should know if you're outside looking in.
I think for the Buckeyes, one of the ones that I think is kind of obvious would be Edric Houston, a guy that was a true freshman last year, coming in, and this year I think has the chance to make a big impact. But I'm going to go a little different.
Okay.
And this is a guy that played some last year, but I think his role is going to be increased. And I don't think a lot of people are really talking about that. You're hearing about the guys like Sonny Styles, who just received the Block O, is going to be repping the number 0, a huge honor for the Buckeyes. But I'm going with the guy beside him, Arvell Reese. I think Arvell Reese has the chance to become one of those linebackers. I mean, just looking at the dude, he's a specimen. That linebacking group in general is just, I mean, massive, massive guys. And so I expect big things from him. I think he's kind of flown under the radar. People around the area, around Columbus, know the skill that he has, but I've seen a bunch of the assistant coaches and everything kind of talking him up. I'm excited to see what he ends up doing this year. So Arvell Reese.
All right. If you've got a suggestion that you feel like we missed, be sure to drop it either on social media at Rival Pod or put it in the comments here on YouTube. I don't want to talk about this, but I really
Honestly,
do, because
I don't either. But it's necessary.
If you have found this podcast, especially if you found it for the first time, you were probably going, well, there's probably one podcast in the country that has a joint Michigan Ohio State reaction to the NCAA Committee on Infractions ruling on Michigan. And it's this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're here for other stuff, that's fine. We're going to talk about a little bit about college football playoff expansion, some conference winner predictions, season overview predictions here later on. But we have to start with this NCAA verdict, infractions, Mickey Mouse operation thing.
I mean, 2 years in the running for this thing. I'm honestly, at the baseline, I'm just glad that it's done.
And I think
that's something everybody can agree with. I'm just glad we got an answer that we can just put it to bed and we can just move forward.
Except Michigan's appealing. So
it's not going to matter. Like at this
Michigan
point,
was never going to pay that much money anyway.
No, at this point, it's like, I know what I needed to know. I've seen what I've needed to see. It is what it is.
And what's going to be difficult here, especially if you're an Ohio State fan looking in at the Michigan side to see the Michigan reaction to this. I'm one person. And I feel like everybody that I talk to, everybody that I read has a slightly different take on this. And particularly if you're a Michigan fan looking at the Ohio State side, I mean, the reactions to this have been across the board from let's pursue criminal I kid you not. Let's pursue criminal litigation to make the NCAA take down banners to I could not have cared less about this from the beginning. Like it's run the entire gambit. So if for some reason you miss, I'm not going to recap the whole thing, right? If you are not familiar with the Connor Stalions sign,
thank yourself.
Just be glad.
Thank yourself.
Essentially, though, there's a lot of details here, but Michigan gets what is estimated to be somewhere between $20 and let's call it $30 million in fines.
20 to $30 million.
It's like.
There's some recruiting things that they can't do where it's like a 2-week thing or something like that.
They have they have to essentially impose a 14-week dead period on themselves over the next 4 years, I believe. There's what is going to be the equivalent of like a $20 million, maybe $30 million fine. And there's a formula for that. I was listening to some wise folks over at Maize and Blue Review talk about this. It's a formula. They're just saying, hey, it's kind of like 2 years of postseason revenue and kind of like 10% of this and 50% of that. So the number is just kind of a conglomeration of these things, okay? Mm-hmm. Essentially, here's a bunch of money you're going to have to pay, self-impose some dead periods, and Harbaugh, who is never coming back to coach in college anyway, can't do that for a while. And Connor Stalions, who is not going to be hired by anybody in college anyway, also can't do that for a while.
Well, and Moore got on an additional game after a self-imposed.
So this is the thing.
And it's not even until 2026.
This is the thing that I think just killed everybody is, and shout out to our buddy Dylan Davis at Delaware Gazette for pointing this out, how ridiculous it is that Moore is getting the 2-game suspension. He'll serve it against Central Michigan and against Nebraska. That the NCAA, if you want to know how much of a Mickey Mouse organization this is, says, okay, cool, that's fine, but that's not enough. We're going to impose an additional game. And there was some thought in the Michigan camp that might be the game at Oklahoma. Sharon Moore's alma mater, a game he very much wants to coach in. Big game for Michigan. And instead they said, we're going to make it the 2026 opener against Western Michigan in Germany.
I thought Oklahoma was included in that.
No. It's Central, it's Nebraska, and it's next year in Germany. I thought it was the first 3 games
this year and then an additional game next year.
No. It's the 2 games Michigan self-imposed and the opener in Germany. Great, And here's the thing. You're not here to hear us recap all the penalties and whatever else. You want to know what we think about it.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to say. There's 1,000 different things. I don't want to rush through it because this does matter, but also I'm sick of talking about it. I want to talk about football. At the end of the day, here's what I'll say. Connor Stalions is a weird dude. And that's all. Thanks so much for subscribe to the podcast, right? Connor Stalions this is my personal take on it. Connor Stalions is a weird dude. He saw what he interpreted as a very gray area and decided to go bonkers with it. The NCAA and the Big Ten, neither of them found any connection to Jim Harbaugh. So all this talk about, Jim Harbaugh cheated. No, he didn't. You're a fool. He had no connection to it. However, as head coach, you're still responsible for your program. Mm-hmm. And what I think, I agree with the folks who have said that what Harbaugh got slammed with was not, you knew about this, you cheated. It was it was non-compliance. It was Harbaugh looked at the investigation and again, understand to his defense a little bit, he'd already been slammed for the stupid cheeseburger thing. He saw this and saw them saying, you got to turn over every email and text, football related and not, in 24 hours and said, this is stupid. I'm not playing that game. And that's why they went after him for it. Now, you can make the argument too that Harbaugh clearly should have been more compliant, should have run a more compliant program. The NCAA infractions report said as much. Fair. Should Michigan have been punished in some way, shape, or form for this whole thing? Yeah, actually, I think they should. At the same time, it's a mountain out of a molehill because if you play dumb games, you win dumb prizes. Michigan was never going to vacate wins over this. This did not influence the outcome of college football games. The NCAA's own law was an arcane, outdated law that they nearly got rid of, decided to keep. You can get essentially the same information through the sign stealing kind of trade of information that happens all across the country. So what Stalions did was not so much illegal as much as it was stupid, as much as it was unnecessary.
I mean, it was also illegal and according to the rules.
But a mountain out of a molehill. It's the Pete Thamels who sensationalized this whole story. And at the end of the day, here's the deal. The NCAA, by its own admission, says that in-person scouting is a minimal advantage. The NCAA COI said, yeah, we don't have enough evidence to say that this influenced the outcome of games. The NCAA president said Michigan won fair and square. The only people who are still emphasizing that this had any outcome on Ohio State or a national title is Bucknuts Forever _ 614.
I've seen it from a handful of different fan bases.
It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. It's over. Michigan's going to appeal. Great. Do that. Move on.
I agree with you in some sense, and obviously I'm going to disagree.
Well, be weird if you agreed with me totally. This would not be a rivalry podcast.
I'm going to disagree with you, but I think my take's going to be slightly different than yours because I think there's no rational fan that actually thought the outcome of this was going to be any vacated wins.
No.
I
no,
think,
that was by the way, was never even discussed.
No, I don't think anybody thought that was a thing. If you're being rational, if you're not literally being one of those crazed fans,
perennially online.
Yeah, if you're, I saw it from the Michigan State fan. I saw people from Iowa that were commenting because of the Big Ten championship.
Iowa,
like.
Sweetie, we didn't need your signs to be you. It's going to turn your old Mingy helmet upside down there for a second.
That wasn't stopping you. Having Kate McNamara as your starting
Nobody
quarterback
needed
is what
Rutgers
stopped you.
signs to beat Rutgers. I'm sorry. That was rude.
Why?
JP is also a Rutgers
Why
fan.
would
It's
you
fine.
say that to me?
Go ahead.
So nobody thought, if you were being a rational football fan, thought that wins were going to be vacated. But here's what just irritated me over the weekend, post all of this being announced. And I would stand this way, and I stand firmly on this as an Ohio State fan, too. To me, the whole thing should just leave a bad taste in your mouth as a Michigan fan. Not because you think that it was stupid or XYZ thing, whatever, but because those teams were good enough to have accomplished what they accomplished without any of those people getting their nose where it shouldn't have been. That team was good enough to win the Natty without Connor Stalions. That team was better than this investigation. And forever, that team is going to be associated with this. Regardless of what the NCAA came out and said, whatever anybody else did, outside of people in Ann Arbor that are Michigan fans, a majority of the country is always going to look back on those teams. And then you'll have some that'll say the asterisk thing. You'll have others that will just always bring this up. So to me, regardless of what punishment was dished out, it always kind of tainted those teams. And there are a couple of other things that I think really bothered me just about the attitude from Michigan fans, because to me, it's the same thing as Urban Meyer. You can look at Jim Harbaugh, you can look at Urban Meyer and go, phenomenal head football coaches. Can't argue it. The facts are the facts. But as people, I mean, Jim Harbaugh's going out there. He can't even start serving his 10-year show cause because he's already on one for 4 years. He had numerous suspensions. It's the same way I look at Urban Meyer when he ended up leaving, and he had the whole thing at that random bar happen. Like, there's things that make you go, okay, these aren't necessarily the people.
Hold on. The Harbaugh suspensions, do you feel like a 10-year show cause or 8 years or whatever it was is a relevant factor in whether or not he did something wrong here?
No, I just think
I think he's somewhat responsible for the program, but this isn't like, oh, Harbaugh knew and he cheated and so we're going to keep him out. There's no relevance.
Here are the things that I think, and there were things that came out in the 74-page report where it talked about the Connor Stalions, Jim Harbaugh, Sharon Moore not being compliant with the NCAA. Connor Stalions admitted to basically launching his phone into a pond. Because he said he couldn't handle the online bullying that he was receiving. Who then proceeds to go and be the face of Barstool. Yeah. Goes and creates a Cameo account where you can request him and proceeds to put himself in the biggest light possible. Garbage.
Correct.
Then you look at Moore, who also goes and deletes every thread that he had with Connor Stalions. To me, those just reek of something fishy going on there, and it ain't the fish in the bottom of the pond.
My guy, they recovered the text, and there was nothing there.
Then why destroy it?
And that's my point, though.
Then why destroy it?
I agree. That's my point, is that when you're talking about like, well, this just says something about the team and what the non-compliant, whatever. I go, yeah, should he have? And I'm not talking about Stallions. Stallions is his own weird lone wolf weirdo. Should Moore have done that? No, but also there's nothing there. And I think this is just critically important to this investigation, that there was no connection to the coaching staff that the NCAA or the Big Ten found. The only people making that connection, that Moore cheated or Moore knew or Harbaugh cheated and Harbaugh knew, are perennially online people. That was not the result of the investigation in any way, shape, or form. It was the non-compliant culture, which there is a penalty for that, and there should be. I agree with that.
Absolutely should be. But I just think you look at this as a whole, and in the actual report itself, the NCAA even says that they were basically qualified for a postseason ban, but they ended up not doing it because it felt unfair to the current student athletes who weren't involved.
Which, correct.
For sure. Fair. 2012 Ohio State would like a word, please, because we had to vacate wins over the tattoo thing, which I know was a different time, but your teams that were punished severely for things that were, in my opinion, worse, because, the tattoo thing is basically legal now. Yeah. So why can't we all of a sudden get those back? Is there a process for that?
You can. I mean, but who cares?
I do. I care deeply and passionately about it.
And again, I'll shout out. I'll actually, as the Michigan guy, I'll shout out local Columbus media. I heard him talking about this weekend. They were talking about the pulling of the Final Four basketball banners at the shot. And I apologies to the fan. I can't remember who it was talking, but he was talking about how he's like, I watched those games happen. Yeah. The vacating of wins.
It's the same.
Technically, didn't you vacate your 2012? You would have vacated our
the
2012.
Sugar Bowl. It's Arkansas.
Well, and you also vacated your win over Michigan that year. Guess what? You blew Michigan out of the water in 2012.
Well, and
it doesn't make a lick of difference what the NCAA says about it.
And that would have been the same attitude that Michigan fans
had.
If
they had vacated wins, guess what? Michigan would still have beaten you. We all watched it. Michigan still hoisted a trophy. We all watched it. And because, again, at the end of the day, and then we can stop talking about this forever, please.
Please.
Here's the last two things that I want to say. One related to the investigation, one related to the rivalry, because that's what this podcast is. And I'm just going to read it. Connor Stalions went way too far on a stupid rule that was already outdated and pretty irrelevant given the state of college football today. The non-compliance should absolutely have gotten slammed. Fine. But the idea that this old arcane rule that is very, very gray by a toothless institution influenced the outcome of college football games is ridiculous. And the reason why I mention that is that because not necessarily for you, I think you've been fairly level-headed, even as a rival. But this was never about, for Ohio State fans in general, this was never about the integrity of the game.
No, it was coping.
This was 100% about... you won 15 out of 16 against Michigan. And then Michigan got really good, not because of Connor Stalions, but because of Blake Corum and JJ McCarthy and Aiden Hutchinson and David Ajabo. And you can keep on going. Michael Barrett, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant. That's why Michigan was good. The last 4 years on the football field, Michigan has been better than Ohio State. And it is very difficult to cope with that. When Jack Sawyer says, well, in 22, we left the field and we felt like we beat them up and something just didn't feel right. Cope harder. You got beat by 20 plus at home, not because Connor Stalions had some iPhone footage, but because Michigan was a tougher team than you. You got beat in 21 and 23 and 24 for the same reasons. 24 was because Chip Kelly ran the ball right at Mason Graham.
Yeah. A million times.
The coping mechanisms are ridiculous. That's really what this has been about from the rival fan base perspective. And so for Michigan fans, do not hail Connor Stalions as some hero. He is a weirdo and just let him go do his own thing. It's weird the fact that some fans are trying to make him out to be this thing. Let him go do his own weird little vacuum sales thing.
Let him go be the defensive coach for some random high school.
That's fine. Celebrate your national title because you earned it and you deserved it. Celebrate your wins over Ohio State because you earned it and you deserved it. And let's go play football this fall.
Yep, it's the same level of coping that you see other fan bases after Ohio State won the Natty this year.
It's the same thing,
yeah,
man.
it doesn't matter because the expanded playoffs gave you whatever jargon people want to say. It doesn't matter. We all saw it happen. It is what it is.
What did we say at the end of last season?
Yeah.
The reason why Michigan fans are going, well, but the expanded playoff is because it's hard to watch your rivals win stuff. The reason why you guys are still, some of the fan base is still tweeting asterisks after all this is because it's hard to watch your rivals win stuff. As we mentioned, the Rivalry Podcast is very proud to partner with our friends at Homage this season. Homage has been helping fans pay homage to the people, places, teams, and moments that matter most to them since 2007. Quality craftsmanship, elite storytelling, legendary comfort. And if you click the link in the show notes right now in the description, you'll find a way for you to get yourself some Homage merch yourself, and you'll support the podcast while you do it. So shout out to them. Maybe you feel a little bit.
Can't wait.
Like
Who you got today?
It's a tough one. Maybe if you're familiar, by the way, if you're familiar with the podcast, this is always my highlight.
This has become almost
read.
like a bit that's not got a technical name.
There's no team yet that's played football, so it's hard to really slam a team. No, it's not. Maybe you feel a little bit like Jonathan Smith in Michigan State.
Thank you.
You're trying to build like a champion, but you might not know how to do it. Oh, Aaron and the team at Elevated Integrity Construction have a winning pedigree and a team of all-Americans, a juggernaut of the industry, and they've built a dynasty of championship builders. If you have a home, church, or business build, go with the folks with integrity in their name. ElevatedIntegrity.com. Aaron, we appreciate Elevated Integrity Construction sponsoring the podcast again this season. One thing we failed to mention, by the way, this is now our second year doing this. The Rivalry is also part of the Varsity Network from Learfield. The Varsity Network is the must-have app if you call yourself a college football fan. Live broadcasts, on-demand podcasts just like this one, free to download. Just search the Varsity Network in your app store. And while you're there, be sure to search for the Rivalry Podcast. You can tell that it's week 0 because I still can't read my own sponsorship
that wouldn't have changed.
Writings. You are a fool. It's good that we're back in mid-season form here.
We never left.
Do you want to talk for a second about this expanded college football playoff? Now that we got the Stallions, Michigan stuff out of the way.
Now that we got the actual, we say we're garbage free, and then we had to talk about that garbage.
25 minutes.
Yeah.
But also, that's a big deal because it's been I'm not going back into it. It's been 2 years in the running. Mountain out of a molehill. Let's move on. Let's talk about college football playoff expansion.
I saw
or not this year, but what's coming.
Yeah, I saw this where they were talking about expanding it to 24 plus teams, and this was something the Big Ten was trying to push, and it was getting outrageous. I think I even saw something like it was 24, 36, or 48, or something absurd. Stop. Nobody, and I love college football. I would inject college football into my veins.
Do you not already?
And I'm going to see Bowling Green on a Thursday night before I go see. So I think a little bit of action. A little bit of action on a Thursday night.
Y'all got any more of that action?
Y'all got any more of that action? So this is coming from me. Ain't nobody trying to sit down and watch a number 1 seed kick up on a number 24 seed.
Yeah.
Nobody's trying to see that. I feel like
I'm frustrated.
We talked about it last year. 12 even felt like it's a little bit too much. To me, the ideal number, you get about 8. 10 would be my absolute limit, and you go from there. Get the best of the best. I think last year proved that an expansion was necessary a little bit because I felt like 4 was a little bit too small. It made the stakes more meaningful, which is always nice. But I think at the end of the day, I want to see the best matchups.
Yeah.
And so to me, Ohio, and you'd probably even maybe disagree with this. To me, Ohio State was the best team in college football last year.
No, I would agree with you.
To me, if you would have kept it at the 4 and they would have been left off, it would have been a huge upset. Everybody would have been excited, but then you would have had some bad matchups later on in those semis.
I mean, I agree to an extent. Like, I don't have a big problem. If you ask me right now, hey, Jace, like, you decide. I'm sticking with 4 teams. Because I think the value of the regular season is so important that, and yeah, obviously, like last year, Ohio State would have been left out. Like, I get that, but I'm even trying to take that bias out of it. But I do appreciate the fact that for years, in recent memory, that Michigan-Ohio State game at the end of the year, the bar is, we're not going to go into, well, what matters more, winning or, we've done that. We'll get into that in November, I'm sure. But, the bar is always at most important when Michigan plays Ohio State. It is never less than most important, but the bar can go higher.
For sure.
Like, it can't go lower than most important, but it can go higher. And when it goes higher is when you have essentially an elimination game, which you had in 21, you almost had in 22, you had in 23, and you would have had, you would have eliminated Ohio State in 24, right? So I think 4 teams, I don't like the idea. At this point, it's kind of like, hey, someone pitched 28 teams, and I'm going, well, maybe 12 is okay. Maybe 12 is fine.
Yeah. Actually, no.
Because they're going straight seeding this year, which is going to be the change. Which I actually like decently. The conference winners get an automatic bid, but not an automatic bye, which I feel like we talked about last year.
That was pretty much what I proposed.
I do not like the automatic qualification broad spectrum where it's like the Big Ten gets 4 and the SEC gets 4. I'm like, why? Why shouldn't you have to earn your way in just because you're now? It hurts Notre Dame, which I like, but I don't like the fact that it's like, well, just because you're part of a conference, in a 2014 playoff, Michigan gets in because the Big Ten would have 7 qualifiers.
Yeah,
I go, listen, I'm as big a Michigan fan as there is. Michigan ain't going to the playoff. I don't
playoffs.
Playoffs. Listen, Michigan. I don't need that. But I had this idea though. All right, so straight seeding this year, where the top 4 teams will get by ranked. Top 4 teams are going to get a bye. And I saw and I've been listening to a lot of Joel Klatt in the offseason. I actually have come to really enjoy the Joel Klatt show. By the way, free shout out. He's not paying me to do that. He doesn't know who I am. But Joel was a little bit apprehensive because, well, what about the value of conference championships? And he talked about, well, why does Penn State need to show up and play Oregon in this scenario? And like, why can't they just slack off because they're going anyway? I go, well, yeah, in that scenario, but that might not always be the case. There's a bye week at stake here for one. And, I agree with him too. Reseeding would be helpful. So Oregon doesn't play Ohio State right off the bat. Oregon gets to play SMU.
Well, and I think there are little things too.
By the way, that's not part of the deal. It's just straight seeding in the bracket, but it's at least, I think, a step in the right direction where 24 to 28 is absolutely not.
Yeah, to me, I think one of the biggest changes that needed to happen, they already talked through with the straight seeding. But the next thing to me that I think makes you get that extra incentive to go out there and play every single game, go after your conference championship and all that. I think the last year's teams, the teams that got the first 5 seats getting a bye or whatever, actually hurt them. Because then you're playing on a neutral site. I think if you're going to go and you're going to give them a bye, then the other team that's coming in to play them the next week should have to go to their place.
Put the game in the big house. Put the game in the shoe.
The fan bases deserve that. The team deserves that. To me, there's no reward last year of going and being the number 1 seed because, sure, you get a bye week, but then this other team just got to play last week. They're still
fresh.
They're fresh and ready to go. And then you're also playing on the road in a neutral site.
Imagine Ohio State coming off that Michigan loss and having to go straight to Oregon.
Well, and
or I guess even if not, but okay, so they beat Tennessee, but then instead of getting a trip to the Rose Bowl out of it, they have to go play Oregon. Again, by the way, that's a big deal. That's a very different environment.
Raises stakes because you looked at that Rose Bowl and it was, scarlet out.
And then Oregon's earned that. Yeah, I agree with you.
To me, you reward the team, you reward the fans. They deserve to be able to go and root their team on in the playoffs after getting a bye. Those are really all I want to see. I really don't think 12 was that bad. You had a couple of teams that even last year I would have said were frauds. I didn't think Indiana deserved to be there. I didn't think
you're so hateful.
I didn't think SMU deserved to be there. Those are teams that I think everybody looked at and went, they're going to be first round losses. I would like to get to a point where I don't look at matchups and immediately go, I know who's winning this game, and everybody in the country widely agree with me. I'd like to find that sweet spot. I don't know if it exists. We'll see this year. I feel like this year is one of those years where there's really only a couple of top tier teams.
Well, we're going to get to that here with who we think is going to win the conferences. I will say that the only thing that I thought is no one has asked for this, but I'm wondering as we talk about playoff expansion, like if we had, this is my model. Okay. So I do either the 4 teams or I'd like 136 team playoff model, 136 teams in the playoff. We split them into groups They play it out over like a 3-month period. If you're the top team in your group, you and a few others play elimination games for a trophy. I don't know.
Why don't they do that?
I don't think that ever worked. Yeah. I don't know. You'd start in like August.
Test it and
start in like August and run through December and just see where everybody ends up. All right. You don't have to go into more detail than you want to on this, but
perfect.
We're going to pick conference champions. Nobody has played a lick of football yet. Tell me who's winning the ACC. The ACC is a weird conference. It's very top heavy.
Yeah.
What do you have? What do you have for ACC?
It's an easy answer. It's got to be Clemson, right? You got Dabo and Klubnik. Klubnik's last year, right? It should be. It feels like dude's been in school for 1,000 years.
Klubnik is on the JT Barrett 7 years eligibility trend.
Cade Klubnik. But I think what really impresses me about Clemson this year is they've got 2 guys on the defensive line that are just going to be studs. You got TJ Parker and Peter Woods. I just think last year they were one of those teams that I thought would sneak into the playoffs. I was right. I also thought they would win their first round matchup. I was right. And they put up a pretty good contest against Texas the following week. So I think Clemson, this is their year, not to win it all, but I think they will probably go on a deep playoff run this year.
I've got Clemson, but I put in parentheses, I don't like it.
Oh, I don't either.
And not because I have any ill will necessarily against, I know Ohio State fans do. I don't have any ill will towards Dabo or Clemson. Everyone's so high on Clemson. Mm-hmm. Everybody's high on Clemson. And I get that some of it is because the ACC is the ACC, and I don't feel comfortable picking Louisville or Miami in this.
No.
Clemson's got to,
it's interesting.
Clemson's going to win the ACC, but the folks that are taking them into the semis, into the national title game, I'm going to tell you right now, until I see it, I don't buy it. That's it. Talk to me about Big 12. The Big 12 is fascinating. Because you could literally roll, Clout was talking about this too. You could roll the dice on the Big 12 and just see 20 side dice or however many teams are in there and go, this team, yeah, that's likely.
See, I feel like it's pretty obvious to me. And I know last year a lot of their offense depended on a certain guy at the running back position, but I've got Arizona State. Yeah. I think
Sam Leavitt.
If you're looking at quarterback play solely, the dude's still young.
Sophomore.
He's a sophomore. Guy's a dog. I have Arizona State.
I do too. I see. This is not fun if you just pick the same thing.
I mean, I think Arizona State's going to go far? No. They're a first-round exit. But are they going to win the Big 12?
I'm going to have us hold Big 10 for a moment.
Perfect.
Go to the SEC, because this is where I'm feeling good about this, and I think it's outside the box. You go first on this one. Who's going to win the SEC? The SEC...
The SEC is tricky because there are a lot of teams, and a lot of them are going to obviously play each other, and you've got some really tough matchups. I think a lot of people want to go the Georgia route. I've got my own personal thoughts on Georgia. It implies that they're overrated. Just a sneak preview. I'm going to go Texas.
Okay. Obviously a very popular pick for a reason.
I know that's the popular one, but I just think their toughest games are Ohio State on the road and then at Georgia. I feel like between those two, they're going to go 1-1. And I think they're going to be able to get the job done the rest of the way. I think even if they go into the SEC championship with 2 losses, I think they'll still come out the victor in that. And they'll still make the playoffs, obviously, and do well. I just think they're a really talented team. I think Manning, having his first full year as a starter, I think he's going to show out.
Yeah.
I like what
Texas
they've got going on.
I'll say this about Texas, and this is not a prediction for Ohio State. We'll get to that for next week. As good as Arch Manning is, because he did get a good amount of playing time, and I think he got a couple starts, right, with Ewers out. Mm-hmm. Still a young quarterback. Mm-hmm. Still a first full-time starter. It's not a true freshman like a Bryce Underwood coming in. I think they're both very talented and probably comparably talented. But I get nervous about brand new quarterbacks. For that reason, I'm actually going with LSU.
That's crazy to me.
I like Nussmeier as a veteran presence at quarterback.
Have you seen their schedule, though?
I know it's brutal.
7 ranked opponents, it's brutal, including a week 1 matchup on the road against Clemson.
I know it's brutal, but again, that's where I go. That's where I look at. Remember, I said Clemson, but I don't like it. That's one of the reasons why. Is because I think LSU is going to beat them. I think LSU is going to. I'm going to say it now. I think LSU is going to beat Clemson.
Wow.
I think LSU is
going to stupid genius for week 1.
I think LSU is going to beat Clemson. Clemson can still win the ACC and do all that, but that speaks, I think, to my concern about Clemson and my belief in LSU. As tough as a schedule as that is, I feel good about. And part of the reason too is because Texas could win it 100%. Georgia could win. I share the same concerns about Gunnar Stockton that you probably have.
How'd you know? It's like you read my mind.
Florida, I don't quite think Florida's quite there.
I feel like I've been so high on Florida for seasons now, where I always
just
pick
give
him.
it up.
I pick him as my stupid genius. Same thing with Miami.
And I can tell you,
I'm wrong all the time.
And I can
so
tell
I'm done with it.
And I can tell you right now that Alabama is living off of vibes from the Saban era, getting ranked in the top 10. So there's that. I'm so curious about this one. Give me your group of 5. Who comes out of the group of 5 and makes the playoff? Remember, not an auto buy, but an auto bid still goes to the G5.
Yeah, I have Boise. I know. Obviously, they lost JT, but they still have Madsen. And their schedule's not crazy difficult to me. And so I think they'll be able to squeak by. They'll drop a game, maybe 2, but they'll still pull out.
You want to know who I've got? And I don't know if I like it. Give me UNLV.
There's just no way.
Hear me out. 2 reasons.
Don't even say the name.
Alex Orji.
No. Have you seen the
My man Alex
play football?
Here's what I'll say. I don't think Michigan did Alex Orji any favors. Now, I think the problems were still
what Alex Orji. I don't think Alex Orji did Michigan any favors.
The problems were still the problems, right?
He was my favorite player when he was on the field.
I'm pretty sure he's 2-0 against you.
Sure, he is.
And also national champion.
It was definitely him that did it.
But yeah, I like Alex Orji as a player. He didn't have it, but I also don't think Michigan schemed around him well. So I'll say that.
I mean, in his defense, when he played the full game against USC, and I felt like they played to his strengths.
We had the least passing yards since the 1980s, so that was good.
That was a tough game. And you pulled it out.
Thanks to Khalil Mullins.
I wasn't going to say it.
Here's the other reason I've got UNLV is because their schedule is nothing. Man, I'm looking at it right now. I'm not going to go through the whole schedule. I've got Idaho State, Miami, Ohio, Wyoming. How dare you
disrespect the Red Hawks like
They've got Hawaii on there. They play Boise in mid-October. That might be
a good taste.
That might be your G5 winner right there. That might be a G5 winner take all between UNLV and Boise. What world are we living in?
College football's back, baby.
All right, we're going to go into Michigan Ohio State overview here in a moment, but first, pick your Big Ten winner for me.
I feel like the popular answer for this is Penn State, but simply because it's the popular answer, I know that it's not going to happen. So for that reason, I'm out. This isn't going to surprise anybody. I'm picking Ohio State. And I was close.
Goodness, I hate this podcast.
I was close to still leaning a little bit to the Oregon side of things. I'm not.
But you're a homer, so you didn't. You're a homer.
I'm a Buckeye. I bleed scarlet and gray, so go Bucks. No, I don't have the same faith in Oregon's offense like I do for the Ohio State offense.
Do you have faith in Ohio State's offense?
Yeah, that's the thing I have the most faith in. And
it doesn't mean you should have faith. It doesn't mean you should have faith in it.
And so I think when it comes down to it, Penn State is in a situation to me, and I talked about it last season. I'll stand by it this season. There is no reason on this earth they should not be in the national championship game this year.
Correct.
I mean, if you look at the trend from years past, the teams that have won it, the teams that have been there are the teams with the veterans on it.
Look at the last 2 national
with
champions.
Talent. And they're bringing back Drew Aller. They've got Singleton. They've got Katron Allen. I mean, across the board, they've got those veteran guys. We know what they're going to do on defense.
Yeah.
They're going to be studs on defense. You know what the O-line is going to do. You know what but can Drew Aller show up? Can James Franklin show up when it matters? Last year's playoffs, Drew Aller didn't complete a pass to a receiver against Notre Dame. Can he throw the ball to a person on his team? I've yet to see it when it matters.
It's so salty.
And what am I being salty about? We've beat them. I have watched.
Well, I know. I mean, I looked it up. I don't think he's beat Michigan or Ohio State this decade.
But that's what I'm saying.
Since COVID.
I am at the point where mentally I want to pick Penn State.
I want to believe.
I want to seem smart and I want to go Penn State, but I just can't because I've seen the tape. I've seen it the past 3 seasons where we were at Ohio State was on the road and with CJ Stroud and everybody thought, oh, they're going to lose. And they started out with a bang and then they crumbled.
Yep.
And then I watched them come into Ohio State the following year with Kyle McCord when everybody thought Ohio State had a vulnerable quarterback. This was going to be the year. Penn State was stacked. They were ready to go. And I watched a Kyle McCord-driven offense beat them.
Yeah.
Then I watched last year.
That was a bit of a rock fight, too.
Then I watched last season where everybody is going, well, the Ohio State O-line is depleted. And this is the year. If there was going to ever be a time for Penn State to win, it was right now.
Well, you spotted them 10 points, too.
We spotted them 10 points early. It was a record crowd. Everything was going Penn State's way, and then Ohio State said, don't care, let's go out here and win the ball game and drive it down your throats for the final 5 minutes of the game, and they did. And so until I see that change, my heart will not allow me to pick them. So for that reason, I'm out. I have Ohio State taking home the Big Ten championship.
I feel like your heart didn't want to pick them anyway.
It didn't.
I took Penn State. And I actually don't disagree with anything you said. I mean, I disagree with all the Ohio State side. But
No. We heard.
That's a wrap.
Yeah, we'll cut it there.
No, I mean, I feel I wrote down in my notes, I said Penn State, and I wrote parentheses, very confident and very nervous. Mm-hmm. Because, again, if you are in the Penn State, it feels... that's not a good comparison, but just outside looking in, it's everything you've said. Penn State has been there. They've had the teams to do it, and they just can't do it. They just can't seem to do stuff when it matters.
State, no.
Do stuff when it matters, and they don't do it. I am high on Penn State this year, but I am cautious.
I think that's fair.
And so, like, you know, and again, who knows by the time this game rolls around, right? But I'm looking at Penn State going into Ohio State. I'm going, yeah, that's it. Penn State should win that game. Penn State probably needs to win that game. Now, not necessarily to make the playoff, but if this little Big Ten prediction thing's going to happen, Penn State probably needs to go into the shoe and beat Ohio State. Because if they don't, they're going to be in a world of trouble because Penn State doesn't play that tough of a schedule. They play, I believe they play at Oregon, at Ohio State, and they've got like one other, I think they play Indiana. That's not that bad, but it's 2 tough road games. And if the committee looks at your schedule and goes, you've played nobody and you've lost your 2, you've lost at Oregon and at Ohio State, that's not a good look. You may get the benefit of the doubt because you're a Big Ten team, but 10-2, it's probably not going to get you in the Big Ten championship.
Nope.
It may, depending on how other things shake out, it may keep you out of the playoff. Probably not, but maybe. So there's that. I'm confident and very nervous about Penn State.
I don't think it's a bad pick. It's just facts are the facts.
Let me put it this way. I am, in one sense, I don't want, Michigan, play whoever you want. Go play the big, you're going to play Ohio State. Go play the big dogs, right? Michigan's had a lot of success against Ohio State and Alabama and these big programs of late. There's also a sense where I go, oh, we avoid Penn State this year? Okay. And again, I feel like Penn State's probably looking at Michigan going, okay. Now, maybe they don't feel that way, but also Michigan and Ohio State have had James Franklin's number for the last 5 years plus. All right, so we're into Michigan, Ohio State. Let's wrap it up here. Just give me a general overview feel. I mean, you kind of did already. An overview feel for Ohio State's season. You can give me a record prediction, give me whatever, and then we'll talk Michigan. We've talked a lot about Ohio State here.
So you want me to start Ohio State?
Start Ohio State because I'll respond to that because I've got thoughts on this team too, and then we'll talk Michigan a little bit.
Ohio State, I have 11-1. I have a key.
I'm sorry. Okay. Never mind. We're not doing this.
And we'll talk about this way more in depth starting next season. I have them at 11-1.
What's wrong with you?
I have a key loss being Texas.
You're missing a key loss in there.
And then the key wins, I have Illinois, Penn State, and Michigan. I think when it comes down to it, and we'll talk way more about this next week as we start to actually preview
break down
for these,
Texas, and
I think that Julian Sain's going to be okay, and I'll leave it at I'm going off a track record. And you and I have talked about this off the podcast.
100%.
But I look at the facts, and there's part of me that I'm being honest, I'm being real, makes me nervous. Just like any time that you're bringing in any new quarterback, whatever.
1,000%.
So I look at this and I go, okay, well, since like 2018, Ohio State has led the Big Ten in passing yards for every single season, minus one season, which was the year that Kyle McCord took over, which, guess what? They finished number 2. If there's one thing that I would give you 100% certainty that I trust Ryan Day with doing, It is the quarterback situation. I trust him through and through because he is yet, even with the flaws that Kyle McCord showed, which were blatantly obvious, numerous games, he was good enough that he still could have taken them there.
Yeah.
The Michigan game was their first loss on the season. That it is what it is. He was good enough to get them there. He was good enough to beat the tough Penn State teams. He was tough to go on the road at Notre Dame and pull that game off in a final 2-minute drive in a hostile environment. So I'm going to trust that. So I'm looking at this and I'm going, Julian Sayin, a guy that was recruited by 2 blue blood programs in Alabama while Nick Saban was there, and Ryan Day, who knows a thing or two about good quarterbacks. The chances of them swinging and missing. I have many
thoughts on Ryan Day, but I will give you that.
The chance of them both swinging and missing on a prospect would surprise me greatly. So I'm going to trust that Julian Sayin, who they've not announced a starter yet. They're supposed to, I believe, today. We're recording this on a Monday.
We're recording this.
He probably has now.
We're recording this right before Ryan Day is going to announce that it's Julian Sayin.
So I think
if it's not, so we're just going to say,
Lord help
insert
us.
Quarterback here.
Yeah. So Julian Sayin is going to be QB1. I'm going to trust that. However, I think going up against an opponent like a Texas week 1, your very first start.
That's tough.
It's tough. And so it wouldn't surprise me to see them lose that. I think it greatly benefits him that it is going to be a home game, but I could see that being when they drop early. I just think eventually he'll get into the groove and he'll be able to settle in. And the offensive weapons that they have, I mean, it's Ohio State. So you still got Jeremiah Smith. You still have Carnell Tate. You have Brandon Ennis. You have Max Clare. You have James People, who people have been raving about all offseason. You have CJ Donaldson. I mean, the guys and pieces are there to make a quarterback's job a heck of a lot easier.
The passing game is going to, I agree with you. I think the passing game will once again be fantastic. I have questions about Julian Sayin.
And
by the way, when we get to Michigan here in a moment, I have questions about Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, I've got the same questions.
These are young quarterbacks. They are not tested. Julian Sayin coming into garbage time against Grambling State. Now that's this year. You get against Akron means nothing.
Nope.
Bryce Underwood has played 0 snaps of actual college football. That we go to Oklahoma in week 2. That's concerning to me. Now, and again, I'm not making a prediction there. I'm just saying that is concerning to me. What's going to 11-1? I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm saying that I look at what I'm going to consider a question mark at quarterback, and probably a good question mark, but a question mark. Question mark at quarterback. I have big questions on your running game. I am not high on your run game, and I have a lot of questions on your defense. Now, your secondary is very good. However, I have questions on that defensive line. You also have I'll be honest, you guys have a difficult schedule. You have Texas. Now it's at home, but you have home against Texas, home against Penn State. Those are very difficult games. You go to Michigan. Obviously, we don't need, this whole podcast is predicated on the fact that Ryan Day can't beat Michigan. Sneakily, you also go to Illinois, which we'll get to that. I have thoughts on Illinois. They're not all positive, so it might be okay.
What?
You also have to go to Washington.
Come on.
Washington, I think it's a trap game no one's talking about.
They shouldn't be talking about it.
I think this is a 9-3 team. I think you're a 9-3 team.
Texas, you have them losing to Texas, Penn State, Michigan.
Yep. And again, it's so hard to predict, because again, I feel like Washington's a trap game and you could probably beat Texas or Penn State. I don't think you beat both, but which one? I don't know. But I feel like this is a 9-3 team. You probably still make the playoff because it's stinking
at
Ohio.
9-3?
It's stinking Ohio State though.
I don't think that matters.
My guy, Alabama, a bad Alabama team. Not bad.
On how
a clearly not playoff caliber Alabama team who did not play a schedule like this.
I don't think
nearly
any 3
snuck into the playoff.
I don't think any 3-loss team gets in. And I think if they were, it would totally depend on how they lost to those 3 teams.
Well, 100%.
I mean, you can't.
But I'm saying the committee, again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. I think it's a 9-3 team, and I'll just go ahead and get to it with Michigan. I think Michigan is too.
9-3?
I think Michigan's a 9-3 team because for a lot of the reasons we just talked about, Bryce Underwood is a massively talented kid. I assume, and Sharon said that next Monday, So the Monday leading into game week, he's going to name a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
We're not
Bryce
doing correct.
Let me help
we're
you
not
out there
we're not
for a
doing
little bit.
we're not doing last year's nobody knows, and then we're like, why is Davis Warren taking snaps with the ones?
Everybody knows.
You know, he's going to announce it on next Monday. Bryce Underwood is an incredibly talented kid, but he also doesn't have experience at this level. Yes, it helps that you start with New Mexico State or New Mexico or whatever, whichever one it is. It's New Mexico. But Michigan's got a tough schedule, man. I don't think people are giving Michigan enough credit for how difficult the schedule. At Oklahoma, at Nebraska, at USC, you still got to play Washington, which I think is a good team. You got Ohio State at the end of the year. That's not a cake. It's not the toughest schedule in the country. But that's not a cakewalk. I can't predict, I was like, hey, I think maybe we lose to Oklahoma, and I don't know, USC is kind of, I don't know. But I think Michigan's a 9-3 team. Obviously, I think they'll beat Ohio State again, because I think they've just had track record of success. And I think getting a young quarterback coming up to Ann Arbor is a tough task for Ohio State. We'll see by the time we get to November. I think Michigan's 9-3 again. And I do not think that they make the playoff. I think they're going to be right. Here's what I love, though. I'll say this. Whatever it would be, I guess it depends on what the records would be at that point. But Michigan, Ohio State at the end of the year may very well be a playoff elimination game.
I could see that maybe.
Maybe.
If there's some games
if Ohio
on
State,
schedule.
if Michigan comes in at 8-3, Ohio State comes in. I don't know. I don't know how the numbers would
think
work
if
out.
either of them going with 2 or 3 losses, it's a wrap for them.
We'll see.
I've got Michigan at 8-4. I think our losses are probably the same, -1. I have them losing to Oklahoma. I have them losing on the road at Nebraska. And then I have them losing at USC.
It's so hard to tell because
Plus
no one's played football yet. But that's what makes it good. Like, I don't feel like either of these teams, in my mind, yes, they are competing for a national championship. Don't mishear that. They're not going to be bad teams. I don't see either of these teams being in that 11-1 realm. Maybe they'll both shock. Maybe they'll both be phenomenal. Maybe they'll go into the game 11-0. Great, honestly, great.
My nerves hate
Fantastic.
that.
I just don't. This feels like a step back for Ohio State a little bit. Feels like a step forward for Michigan a little bit. These feel like fringe playoff teams, and I'm not sure if they're going to get in or not.
Yeah, this season's going to be tricky too because if we look at last year's game against Michigan State and Michigan State almost pulled that off. And it was at home against Michigan. This year, Michigan has to go to East Lansing.
But we have a quarterback now.
Maybe.
My guy.
Maybe.
My guy. My guy.
You just spent a long time talking about how he has zero experience. I think it's...
At that point in the season, though, it's different. It's different playing...
I'm just saying,
and that's
having confidence in a guy that you've never seen touch the field is valid just as much as me saying there's also a chance that he could come out there and be buns.
Yeah.
And
there's a chance that anybody could beat anybody on any given Saturday. Ask your boys.
It's proven.
Ask your boys in late November.
All I'm saying is... Michigan State, to me, because of what we talk about on this podcast all the time, it's a rivalry game.
Correct. No, yeah.
And
Michigan
State, last season for sure, were close. And I think they were close to letting it to getting over that hill.
All I'm going to say, though, is that the worst Michigan team, or at least the worst Michigan offense in the last 40 years, still beat Michigan State. Cheers to East Lansing, man. I don't know what y'all are doing there, but keep it up.
I think the Big Ten is so interesting this year for a lot of reasons because I think there are a lot of quarterbacks that are on pretty mid teams. But if the quarterbacks play a little bit more than what I think people are expecting, they're taking those mid teams to all of a sudden, okay, these are people to worry about. You've got Indiana, Mendoza from Indiana, where I go.
Man, people are sleeping on Indiana.
I'm looking
again.
At him, and you know my thoughts on Indiana.
I know.
I said it all last season,
and
I would stand on business on that. I think Indiana is a good team, but I am not the whole they're an elite team and blah 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 last season.
No, but man,
but Mendoza's the truth.
They got Roman Hemby.
Yeah,
out of Maryland. Don't listen. If you're don't screw around, or you may get beat out by Indiana.
You would know.
You may. Yeah.
I'm looking at this Indiana team, and I'm going. They're going to be good. They're not somebody to take lightly. You look at an Illinois where you've got Luke Altmaier.
They return a ton of production,
and I'm going. That's a team to be wary of. Do I think Ohio State and Michigan, to be honest, are better than them? Yeah, I would probably say that I feel confident in that. But that doesn't mean that you just go in there and waltz around like you're going to own the place.
You got to go to Champaign in October.
Nebraska's another one of those teams where I go, Dylan Raiola has been one of those guys that you can see it.
Yep.
When you watch him play, you can go, man, if he can flip that switch, this guy is going to be a problem for his collegiate career. He's
in the same boat, and that's one of the reasons why Bryce is going to be the guy, but why you get nervous about starting a brand new quarterback, especially a new young quarterback, is Dylan Raiola is fantastic. Nebraska struggled last year. Their offense struggled. And so while you can't say, well, that happened here, so that's going to happen for Michigan or it's going to happen for Ohio State, there is that concern there. However, that year 1 to 2 jump, Nebraska's dangerous. Nebraska's dangerous. And again, for Michigan, going to Oklahoma week 2, going to Nebraska week 4, by the way, that's one that Sharon's not going to be there for. Circle it on your calendars.
Trap game.
Circle it on your calendar. Is it a trap game if everyone's talking about it? Like everyone's talking about
I don't think anybody's talking about it, but
about at Nebraska? Oh, they should be.
In the Michigan circle,
they should be.
But nationally,
it's kind of like at Illinois. I feel like Illinois gets a ton of love, and I feel like everyone's like, oh, that at Illinois game for Ohio State's a trap game. I would give
you the at Washington game, even though I don't think Washington's good. To me, that signifies more of a trap game than Illinois, because Illinois is 12 in the nation.
Which, you know what?
They won't be there by season end. I won't let you know which side I think it's on, the wrong side. But
can you tell we're excited college football is back, man? This is week 0. We went an hour on week 0,
week
man.
1,
Let's
Monday.
Go. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening right now. Be sure to follow on social media. Check the show notes. Shout out to our boys at Homage. Get yourself some shirts. Get yourself some Rivalry Podcast merch. Support the pod, and we'll see you next week.
The Rivalry is a production of River Radio Ministries. Want live updates from the show? Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at RivalPod. Visit our Patreon and consider becoming a patron for exclusive bonus content, merch, and more. And be sure to follow us wherever you're listening now for new episodes every Tuesday. And if you like what you're hearing, tell a friend so they can listen too.
Wherever you go, whatever they get into, from chill time to everyday adventures, protect your dog from parasites with Credelio Quattro. For full safety information, side effects, and warnings, visit CredeliaQuattroLabel.com. Consult your vet or call 1-888-545-5973. Ask your vet for Credelio Quattro and visit QuattroDog.com.